Hey friends and family, how you doing? I just got back from the week up north where I beat the crap out of this guy and this little guy, and I just wanted to give that promised review about how this thing did in the field. The short answer is it did freaking fabulous. Jackery 1000 V2. It spent the entire week running my little refrigerator cooler thing. You'll see that in the video. It's an old Igloo. It's not efficient. It just plugs into the cigarette lighter 12 volt thing. So in that point, it's efficient for this. It's not having to go through the inverter, like as if it plugged into the 110 volt stuff. So it ran that constantly. And then it charged fairly constantly. I always had one, but mostly two 20 volt power tool batteries charging. Yeah, that was nonstop because, I did a lot of cutting, ton of drilling, and that's all 20 volt Porter cable impact drill that was constantly running out of batteries, and it did fantastic. When the sunlight got full, this Jackery Solar Saga 200 bifacial, didn't realize these were bifacial. That explains some of the surprise. You'll see how little sun there is. The sun is well behind those trees. I'm somehow still getting 17 watts out of this thing. This thing is magical. Absolutely freaking magical. Yeah. The highest I saw it get was about 187 watts. And that was more than enough to still have a net charge on this guy when it was running the refrigerator and two battery chargers. But in the morning time, I plopped this in a shady spot because I wanted the refrigerator in the shady spot, knowing full well that between this thing with maybe 4 or 5 hours of charging, plus me taking it to my friend's house at night and plugging it into the wall, this was going to make it. The last two nights, or the last two work days, I didn't even bother hooking this up and running those three things. This thing got down to maybe 27%. That was a long day, so that was closer to 10 hours. I think with those three things running, this thing was eating about 87 watts. So yeah, did fantastic. When I plugged it in at nighttime, it charged in under 2 hours. It's got fast charge enabled, which I guess that's supposed to be louder. Like you can set that. I'll show you that later in the Jackery application. You can set it into you take it off fast charge and it's supposed to be quieter. This did not keep me awake at all. I'm not that heavy a sleeper. I had a ceiling fan on and whatever. I didn't hear anything. So yeah, did great. So I wanted to give you guys a little walkthrough on the Jackery iPhone app. I have no idea if it's the same on an Android. So right now it's fully charged, nothing really going on. I can hit the little AC icon here and that powers on AC, and I've got a fan plugged into that just turned on. And so now you see that there's 23 watts of output. But some other things you can do, apart from just kind of look at your numbers, is you could go in and set stuff like the charge settings. I have it set for fast charge mode. Frankly, I slept right through it when it was fast charging. It didn't keep me awake at all, but you can put it into quiet charge mode if you want. You can tell it, like I have it set to fully use the battery, but you can set it to battery savings mode. That's interesting. I'll be curious to see how that works when I have this hooked up to solar full time, because it's got its own charge controller. So if this extends the battery by 30%, that might actually be worth it. The real thing will be to see if that reduces its effective usefulness, for charging what I need charged, that sort of thing. But for right now, we're going to keep it on full use. And you can do stuff like put it in energy saving mode, where you just tell it when you want it to automatically turn off. I'm just going to leave that at the defaults. Auto off time. Well, that'd be nice if to hibernate. What's the difference between hibernate and energy save? No idea. And of course you can do your firmware upgrades. As a security guy, I definitely recommend you do that. I mean, this thing is great and everything, but it does have a computer in it. Mine's not hooked up to the Wi-Fi, but for those of you who like connecting everything that's Wi-Fi enabled, then you need to keep up with all the firmware updates. That was your public service announcement for the day. It's pretty handy. I just turned my fan off. I don't know what that SOS button does. Let's find out. Oh, cool. Well, you can't see it, but it's started flashing ... light Morse code. So we're going to go ahead and shut that off because that's not something I should be messed with. Anyways, it's handy enough. And obviously you can have, multiple units on here. I don't think my Jackery Explorer 160 is Bluetooth enabled. I don't frankly know though. Yep, so there you go. This thing, the Jackery 160, turns out it also interfaced with the solar. The 1000 V2 comes with this. This plugs into the solar panels. This is the new DC 8020 connector that plugs into the Jackery, but you can put this DC, my gosh, I can barely read that, 7909, and then it plugs into this bad boy. Boop. And that was great. The little guy, not that this isn't about the little guy, but this did fantastic. I just don't want to hurt its feelings, ignoring it. This was my my jukebox and cell phone charger for the entire week, and it did absolutely fantastic. The only thing that this didn't come with, that I guess it kind of makes sense, is it didn't come with any kind of a, like this has a charger I could plug into my cigarette lighter as I drive, but I think this is meant much more for like camping, so that makes a lot more sense. Charging from a car you're driving, it doesn't charge anywhere near fast enough to really, I don't think it would, I'd be curious to see. I don't think it would do much with this. It's not like plugging it into a house. I got an adapter so I can do it, so I'll see if that, you know, how fast that charges. So I've decided we're gonna do a little test on this bad boy, a charging test. We're gonna see how it does shore power versus solar versus charging in the car. To do that, I need to drain this thing down, so we're gonna have a little fun. My boss, my brothers, and they'll get a kick out of this. So here we go. Okay, we're at 100% right now, and I'm going to go ahead and kick the AC on. This is going to be running a Dell PowerEdge R420. No hard drives in it. It should have a spike at first and then settle down. I don't know watts. I know they have a cruising altitude of about between 1 and 2 amps, so I'm really curious to see how this goes. So here we go. All right, so kick the power on. Turn the server on. Huh, interesting. That's just slightly more than the combined total of my refrigerator and those two tools that I was charging. So it looks like it could run this for about 8.8 hours. Good to know, boss. If push comes to absolute shove, we just have to get, 200 of these Jackery 1000s and we could back up our whole data center for like a day. Well, 8 hours anyway. All right. So it's thinking of dropping down to its cruising altitude here, so I suspect that wattage is going to go down, hours of life is going to go up. But anyways, I'm going to let this run. Computer's not plugged into anything except the Jackery, so it's not out there changing the world. But I'm going to let it run until we get to about 50%, and then the test will be to see once we plug it into shore power versus solar panel versus car. All right, talk to you guys later. Okay, well, it took half the bloody day, but we finally got the Jackery down to a nice 44%. Yeah, that server wasn't doing the trick running by itself, so I plugged in my desk fan. Not too bad. Desk fan and a enterprise grade server, 134 watts of output. This is good. So we are going to shut the AC off, and that got quiet real quick. Let's plug in to shore power. All right. So now that should change. Okay, so there we go. 670 watt input. It's going to get better than that. So it's going to take 0.9 hours for this thing to be fully charged at 1023 watts. All right, cool. Sorry, Jackery. Sorry to give you a taste and rip it away like that, but science. Now we've got our shore power. So I will catch up with you guys again when we get this thing either set up in the car or on the solar panels, and we'll see how different it is. See you then. All right, so I've got the Jackery plugged into the cigarette lighter of the truck, and as you see, it's getting about 93 watts. It doesn't seem to change a whole lot. When I race the engine at my office, it was getting over 1,000 watts, so you can see there's quite a bit of difference. When we get back from this errand I need to run, I'll plug it into the solar, or I guess I'll wait till the afternoon until the sun's like really cooking. Glad I didn't spend the money on getting a dedicated cigarette lighter charger for this thing, because unless I'm going on a super long trip, this is not much of anything. What I got was a $8 adapter to use my Jackery Explorer 160 cigarette lighter charger. It's also, you might notice that the thing's gone from 44% power to 96%. It occurred to me, you're not going to have a way to charge this thing all the way up, and you've got a lot of work for it to do. So best not to, a test is fine and everything, all in the name of science, but if you get stuck up here with no power, then you're pretty much screwed. Anyways, thanks for playing along. Okay, so we've got this thing pointed straight at the sun. It's getting about 177 watts of power. So better than the car charger, way worse than shore power. It's good to know. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the AC power because I need some batteries to be charging. Now we have an idea of what sort of performance this thing can expect in the different charge types. All right, so there we go. So now it's charging one of my 20 volt batteries, and well, for a second there it was 45 watts out. I guess that one's charged too. Man, I'm just that good. Anyways, got to get to work. But yeah, this does come with the ability to have 2 of these solar panels, so I will eventually get a second one because this can do a heck of a lot more than just charge 20 volt battery packs. So I could run actual tools off of this, and I'm sure I will be, like corded tools. Getting 400 watts of solar power would be a very good thing. Yep, it did great. It basically sat there stationary next to the cooler the entire week, but for when I do need to bring it closer to the work site, it's not that heavy. It's maybe a bit heavier than a 1980s ghetto blaster. The double deck ghetto blaster. I'm not talking about that single deck, Radio Shack crap. I mean, a nice double deck Magnavox is what we're talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. The other thing, I joked about this silly light when I was first introducing this thing. While this is a fairly lightweight power station, it's a super heavy flashlight. But there was one night where I stayed late. I mean, relatively late. It was us being outside of daylight savings. It got dark at like 5:30. So I was maybe there at 6:30, and it was pitch black. Like a good Boy Scout, I had no flashlights with me, and my cell phone had died, which is why I don't have flashlights, because who needs a flashlight? You've got a cell phone, right? But I needed to pack everything up to get out of there. Well, I just stuck this thing on the bed of the truck, and it just sort of lit up everything. And this became my running around flashlight. I apologize for poking any fun at the silly light. You'll see when I show you the app that it has a really cool SOS feature. Not that anybody really knows Morse code anymore, but it's there. I couldn't be happier. I abused the crap out of this thing this week, and it just took it A+. Any questions, comment below, and I will let you know. Talk to you later.